to the truth, who is Jesus Christ. And I'm going to say something that's going to upset the trads again, but I'm not doing it to upset the trads. I'm doing it because I think this is the truth. The reason the church is so gay right now and so effeminate right now is because of a tradition that needs to be addressed. So in the church, if we look at the church fathers, they used to talk about, a priest should be chaste the night before celebrating mass. The priests used to be married. In many traditions in the Eastern Orthodox Church, they still are. And I know there are married permanent deacons now in the church, but I think it's a tradition that needs to be addressed in the Roman Catholic Church, the chastity of priests, because people are called to many vocations in life. And a lot of people feel called to holy orders. And then they have to weigh up that calling against their calling to start a family. And people often drop out in discernment at seminary and actually go and choose to start a family instead of being involved in a gay church. And then you have, on the other hand, you have people who don't feel called to start a family, who feel the tug of same-sex attraction, so they don't have that dilemma. So, and then if they feel that they are called to holy orders, they go to holy orders. So people who are gay end up becoming priests. People who are straight end up starting families.
Yeah,
I think that's a very troubling.
So you think that the Catholic Church should open itself up to a married priesthood?
Yes, I think it should return to the tradition of the church, which is Catholicism is about protecting tradition, right? And at some point that tradition was changed, and it's been changed for so long now that trads see it as the way that things have always been done, but it's not, of course, the way things have always been done. And I think it has been damaging for the church. We have a gay church.
Well, okay, so I think
all the way up to the top.
This is a good topic that we could jump in on. So, okay, I think that at one point in time, especially in history, when it was so unacceptable to have same-sex relationships, I think that you had a lot of men who had that inclination would go to the priesthood to avoid this, the scandal of why aren't you married? Why aren't you so they would go maybe into that vocation to hide some of these inclinations. Now that obviously would have disastrous consequences. You're in the confessional with young men, things like that. But I think that there could be an avenue for a married priesthood. Like I don't think it should be a universal thing, though.
Right.
I think there could be maybe an avenue for it, because I do think that it might give an opportunity for some married men who actually believe the Orthodox faith. But I still think because you have those priests and bishops in positions of authority, they wouldn't allow those men up anyway. Like, I think that's a major problem you would have. It would make priests more effeminate. If they spoke up, they could get canceled and lose their benefits for them and their family, which is a true point too, right? So part of the reason
that's true regardless, because if you speak up as a priest, you lose, you get sent off to the Timbuktu, or you lose your stipends and you lose your house, or you lose your nice
right. But now if you have a family that you're responsible for too. So part of the reason for the celibate priesthood is, especially if you look in times of like a time of war or a time of persecution, the priest can go and put himself in harm's way without worrying about abandoning his family. And I mean, you as a priest, you have to know more than we would how demanding the role of a priest is, right? You're getting called out in the middle of the night to go and give extreme unction.
But at the same time, I know many married priests in the ordinariate who manage it very successfully. I think callings aren't universal. So people who are called to missions in dangerous parts of Africa might not be the same priests that are called to a married life in a parish, in a humble, suburb. So I think, again, you're right in that it shouldn't be universal, but I don't think it should be prohibited.
Yeah, I think
this is just, again, I knew it would be an unpopular opinion with the
I don't honestly, it's a conversation I actually like having, because I've explored it before, where we already allow for married priests in the Catholic Church if they come in through the ordinariate or something, right? Or something like that. Like, there are slight exceptions to married priests in the Catholic Church.
So all the comments of people saying you can't serve two masters, you'll be distracted by a family, blah, blah, are they saying that priests who have come in through the ordinary are lesser priests than celibate priests?
I don't know. I think that the church's tradition would have been that even when married men became priests, they especially early on, I think I've heard that even when Benedict was allowing for this, he talked about how spouses would agree to be chaste you know, and not be together, even if they were married or whatever. Like they would actually agree to no longer share the marital bed once the husband became a priest, things like that. I attend an ordinariate, and we have one of the greatest priests I've ever encountered in my time as a Catholic. Is he married, Chris? And he's married. Yeah, he's married. Yeah, look, you look at Father Dwight Longnecker. He's married. He has a bunch of kids. I mean, the other thing would be, would they have to receive higher pay because now if they're not practicing contraception, they're going to have 8-9 kids, things like that, you know? But yeah, it's an interesting conversation. I'm not someone who thinks right off the bat there should be absolutely no exceptions for it. I think there can be, and I think that there's a possibility that you'd wind up getting a bunch of Orthodox married men proclaiming the truth, and maybe that's a way to restore the church. Pope Benedict spoke in that 1970 radio address about the church in the future will lose a lot of its public its public adoration, and it would become a smaller church, but it would become a church of saints, a church that is much more holy, and men that would be priests would be men with day jobs and things like that, because there wouldn't be this ability to have seminaries and things like that. So that could be the future of the church. We really don't know.
I know many priests who've got day jobs. I know many priests who are married, and they're very good priests. I just want to see more of that. I want to see more masculine priests. When I look at FS and Tucho, I just see gayness infecting the church in a very negative way. And anything we can do to help prevent that, I'm not saying it's going to solve it, but anything we can help to see more masculinity in the priesthood would be a good thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think there should be a channel maybe made for it. I just worry that if they give that ability, that it would just become the norm. That's the problem with all this stuff, right? Like, so they make an exception for communion in the hand, and next thing you know, communion in the hand is the norm. And that's the danger of it. If you allow this little avenue for something like that to happen, then it just becomes the norm, and that's it. And now the celibate priesthood is gone, because even the Orthodox don't allow their bishops to be married, right?
Yes, yeah, that's right. I think it's expected that if you're married as a priest, I can't remember the ins and outs. I don't want to quote something and get it wrong. Goodness me, I love the comments in your.
You want to just play around with the comments a little? We can go with this.
How would getting married make you a Protestant? Being Protestant would mean you're against the Catholic Church and or don't have the sacraments. Getting married, that doesn't necessarily. Anyway, some of these people are unthinking. Control your urges. Yes, that's
John B. Married Catholic priests would just be Protestant. No, that's not true. I mean, that's not true. But celibacy, I do think, is masculine.
Oh, celibacy is a very good thing. Yes, I'm not saying celibacy is not a good thing.
It is masculine because when done properly, you're controlling your passions, and they're actually the true romantics. Because I'll tell you why celibacy, especially in the modern age, is very important. We're dealing with a culture that says if you can't sleep with who you want to sleep with, you can't be happy.
Yeah.
Okay. And a celibate priesthood shows you don't need to have sex to be happy. You can actually experience all the joys and glories that God has to offer you as a person without sex being a prerequisite. And that's what really, that's how I always viewed the celibate priesthood, especially in our modern age where everybody's telling you love is love and go sleep with who you want to sleep with. So the celibate priesthood is actually the one saying, no, I'm going to forego this natural good for something that's eternal and beautiful.
Yeah, no, that's a slightly different conversation. I'm with you on that. Celibacy is important and very good. And St. Paul talks quite a lot on this, in that marriage is there for those who can't be celibate, but celibacy is a holy path. I think he's right. But I also think we live in an age where Christians need both. We need to remind Christians that there are two callings. One is celibacy and one is family. But promiscuity is not a Christian lifestyle. And the world will tell everyone that it is. And you're right, in order to be happy, but it's not just about being happy. It's just in order to be ordinary, to be normal, you have to sleep around and try before you buy. And it's just none of it is crazy. Good.
I see it as a return to, people think they're being original with this stuff, but it really is just a return to the practices of the pre-Christian era.
Yeah. God bless you, Psalm 51. Have a good morning prayer.
Did you